How's it going, everybody? My name is Mike and welcome to the Alternator YouTube channel. Behind me is my Lexus IS250. This is an 07 with a lot of mods to it. Now if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been watching for a while, thanks for watching. So today I'm going to be changing the alternator in this car. In the previous video I went and diagnosed what was wrong with the car, and I figured out it was the alternator. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But before we get started, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're still doing the 1,000 subscriber merch giveaway. All you gotta do is subscribe to this channel, leave some likes and comments, and follow our social medias on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're gonna give away some merch. So let's get into this. I'm gonna go ahead and open the hood. So you might be wondering why your engine bay looks a little different. I never put the cover panels back on my IS. Honestly, totally forgot about it. And then two, a lot of the clips that were here that hold the beauty pieces in all snapped or broke from just being old and crusty, so I completely didn't do it. But yeah, the alternator itself is located right over here. I ordered a new unit from AutoZone and also a new serpentine belt, because in last video I inspected this belt and it's the original one on the car. I'm pretty sure the old belt is on its way out, so it's better just to change it since I'm removing it anyways. But yeah, let's go and take a look at the parts. This is the serpentine belt. Got a Continental one. I know AutoZone has a couple different ones for this vehicle. I don't recommend using their Duralast stuff. No slight to them. I haven't had much success with it. They just make noises after a short time, even though installed correctly and everything. The Continental ones are a little bit more, are better for the price. This is, I think the Duralast ones are 35. These are 45 or 50. So worth the investment. Has a 3-year warranty. Not shilling for AutoZone, but I always try to buy the best part I can. And then this is the alternator itself. It is a Duralast. These are remans. They have a lifetime warranty, limited lifetime warranty, and I'm perfectly okay with that. So yeah, this looks like what it's supposed to be. Always want to take it out of the box and inspect, make sure there's no damage. It looks good. So yeah, let's get started. First thing is going to remove this cover, which is easy. It's just clip, or not even clip, it just pops on. First thing you want to do obviously is remove the negative terminal on the battery so it's not draining from there. From what I could tell is you have to remove everything that's in the way in this part of the engine bay to access the alternator. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's a couple nuts here that's holding this wire harness, and then also there's this plastic cover right here that you want to take off because it's kind of in the way, and we kind of go from there. I know most people remove the ECU / box here to kind of maneuver everything out of the way. It's a little bit of a pain, so I'm gonna try doing it without going there, and let's see if I can get it done. So as you saw in the video, I took out the plastic cover here. This moves now, so I have some room to work. I moved the tensioner there to the left and removed the belt, and I did remove the pulley here. That's just an idle pulley, so it gives me more room to work towards the alternator. Now this next part, you're not gonna be able to see it just because there's no room for the camera to go, but I'm gonna essentially remove the bolt down here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a bolt down right down here, and then there's one bolt up over here, and then there's a couple plugs and whatnot that are around this side. So it's just gonna take me a little bit to get to and try to get out. All right, made some progress. As you can see, I have more things disassembled. Researching on the internet, they says to remove the ECU box. I saw one mechanic do it without it, but it was a really tight space. I decided just to remove it just to make moving the lines and stuff around a lot easier. So I have everything taken apart. The biggest pain for this car is actually there's one bolt that is going towards the engine that's kind of further down. It's a 12 millimeter. It's the backside bracket for the alternator. That is the most difficult thing to do here. The front bolts, everything else was real easy. What I'm working on now is actually just wiggling the alternator to get it loose. Not a whole lot of pry areas on this car. The AC lines are all right there, so you gotta be really careful, which I'm trying to be, so I don't damage any AC lines, because it is June here in Las Vegas and no AC is no bueno. It's not good. So trying to work my way around it. I almost have it out, just been messing around with it for a little bit. Again, the bolt, the 12 millimeter bolt that goes underneath the header going towards the engine, that's the hardest one. You might want to feel around for it, or if you have a small mirror, I would recommend that. Definitely recommend that. So yeah, other than that, I'm just trying to get this alternator out and go from there. And as a quick note, this is the box for the ECU. It's not very hard to take apart. When it's in the engine bay, there are 3 or 4 10 millimeter bolts on the top cover. Take that off, and then you just have to look around. There are 10 millimeter nuts or bolts at 3 different spots, and there's one inside where you have to take these 2 nuts off, remove the ECU, and then there's one bolt at the bottom to get this out. Not too bad. This took me maybe 7 or 8 minutes to get out completely, so not horrible. I know some people say it's bad. To me, it didn't seem too bad, so that's actually easy for me right now. Again, just struggling with the again, the alternator out and having to be real careful. And after I put the camera down, I went to grab the alternator and it just popped out of place. So go figure that. Now you gotta be careful when you remove it. You gotta move, push this line to the side and be real careful because there's stuff in the way. You can remove this to make it a little easier, but I got it out just fine. So here it is. So when you compare it, everything's the same. Make sure the new alternator is in good shape. This is a reman and tested one, lifetime warranty. The only thing you have to do to the alternator is take off this bracket, the big pain in the behind bracket, and move it over. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and start putting everything back together. So I got the new alternator back in. Only took me about 30 to 45 seconds. It was real easy. The only thing I had to watch out for was this stud here, making sure not to damage the alternator. pretty much set it in a vertical position, went down at an angle, and then turned it back around while it was in the biggest area, which is down here. Again, the only thing you got to watch out for is the stud. So from here, just have to put the alternator bolts back in. Remember, the shorter one is on the bottom, the longer one is on the top. After I get those two in, get the really hard to reach nut back in, the 12 back in on the back side. Putting it on should be a little bit easier because I can go in there with my hand, get it on, and then spin it. And then from there, just torque it down. So since I know where it's at now, hook up all the electrical back on, all the brackets, and kind of go reverse order and reassemble everything in this area. The only mess up that I really had was I dropped my 1/2 inch drive short extension with the 12 somewhere deep down there. Can't see where it's at, so I have to put the car on jack stands to kind of fish for it from underneath. Yay me. But that's my mess up. Hopefully you don't do that, but I did drop it by accident. Also, one quick word of advice on older cars with nuts and bolts. Before you put anything back in, inspect them, making sure there's nothing cross-threaded or any debris stuck in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean off some of these bolts. So when I do put it back in, I don't have any problems on cross-threading or have any difficulty. Have everything pretty much assembled. The only thing I have left to put back is the pulley, the belt, and then connect the battery and fire the car up to make sure everything's working well. Just as another word of advice, when you take this apart, it has a washer and a bolt. So what you want to do is just make sure there's no dirt or debris that can bind this, make sure everything is still in good working order, which this is, thankfully. Other than that, when you put the belt back on, you want to make sure that everything's routed correctly, and also that the belt's sitting on the pulley, on all the pulleys correctly. Other than that, real close to being done.
2,000 years later.
As you can see, I'm wearing a different color shirt. I went and took a shower. Obviously the Lexus is finished. I'm happy that the alternator is now replaced. Car's running good again, but there may be another issue now that has shown up. Could potentially be the AC compressor, but not sure yet. Got to run a few tests and do a few things. But other than that, the car runs great. Runs like how it did before the alternator started going out. So really happy about that. And this concludes the episode. Thanks again so much for watching. We definitely do appreciate it. Until next time, you guys take care.